Hi, everyone. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to always catch every eye, no matter how many times they've been rejected? Here's the secret. Ignoring rejection doesn't just make you stronger. It turns you into someone absolutely irresistible. Today, we're going to explore how to master this art and completely change the way others see you. Let's dive in. Let's dive into this whole silence is power thing, but make it sound like we're just chatting with a buddy over beers, not writing a thesis. We're going to unpack this idea of going silent after being rejected, how it messes with someone's head, and most importantly, how it makes you a stronger dude. The silent treatment. More than just ignoring someone. Ever poured your heart and soul into someone, only to get the cold shoulder? You know, you're bending over backwards, showering them with attention, making sacrifices, and all you get in return is, well, nothing. It freaking stings, right? It feels like everything you did was completely worthless. As guys, we're often told to just man up, bottle up our emotions, and move on. But that rejection, that feeling of not being good enough, it sticks with us. It messes with our confidence, makes us question everything. The usual knee-jerk reaction, we chase. We blow up their phone trying to explain ourselves, hoping to rekindle that lost spark. But guess what? That's the worst thing you can do. Chasing just hands them all the power and reinforces the idea that your worth depends on their approval. Today, we're going to explore a different path. But what if I told you there's a better way? A way to grab back your confidence, your dignity, and your sense of self-worth. The secret? Silence. Not in a petty, I'm going to ignore you to get back at you kind of way. But silence as a tool. A way to practice self-control, grow as a person, and build inner strength. When you stop chasing, when you take your presence out of their life, something crazy happens. They start to notice. They start to feel your absence. And slowly, the whole dynamic shifts. Silence becomes your ultimate power move, not just for changing the situation, but for transforming you. The calm before the storm, the initial freeze out. So you've decided to go silent. You're probably thinking, okay, any minute now, she's gonna freak out and realize what she's missing. But here's a dose of reality. At first, she might not even flinch. In fact, she might even feel relieved. Like she finally has the space she's been craving. Why does this happen? Because she's used to you being there. You're like a permanent fixture in her life, always providing attention, effort, and consistency. She takes it for granted. So, when you go silent, it doesn't register as a loss, but more like a temporary blip. She probably thinks you'll be back any second, because, well, you always have been. She sees this as a phase, not a permanent change. During this stage, she might even convince herself that dumping you was the right call. She's free now, able to focus on herself without your distracting care. Cue the social media blitz, the nights out with friends, and the super shallow conversations. She might seem totally unaffected, even thriving. But don't be fooled. This is the calm before the storm. This is the hardest part for most guys. Seeing her seemingly happy and indifferent is like a punch to the gut. The urge to reach out, to remind her you exist, is almost unbearable. But this is where most guys screw up. They let their emotions take over and break the silence, chasing validation that isn't coming. Don't fall into that trap. Your silence isn't about a reaction. It's about reclaiming your power. Remember that whole Stoicism thing? Control what you can and let go of what you can't. Right now, her indifference is out of your hands. What you can control is how you react to it. This is your moment to turn the focus back to yourself. Instead of obsessing over her lack of reaction, channel that energy into your own growth. Hit the gym, learn a new skill, reconnect with friends and family. Do the things that remind you of your value outside of her approval. As the days tick by, her confidence in her decision will remain intact, but cracks will start to appear. The seeds of doubt, when the absence starts to bite. At first, your silence might seem like background noise. Life continues, and she carries on as if your absence is nothing more than a minor annoyance. But as time stretches on, something subtle shifts. It's not dramatic, not obvious, but it's there. Those first signs of emptiness creep into her world. It begins with the little things. No more good morning texts. No more spontaneous flowers. No more thoughtful gestures. Those things she used to take for granted now feel like a distant memory. At first, she brushes it off. No big deal, she tells herself. He'll be back eventually. But deep down, a tiny voice whispers, "What if he doesn't?" That's the power of your silence. It's not loud or confrontational. It's quiet and consistent, like a shadow that grows larger with time. And as it grows, so does the space you once occupied in her life. What she thought was a temporary pause now feels more permanent. And in that permanence, the first cracks begin to form. She starts to notice the void in her daily routine, reaching for her phone out of habit, only to realize there's no message from you. Hearing a song on the radio that brings back memories. These moments might seem insignificant, but they're the seeds of something much bigger. At this stage, she won't admit it. Not to herself and certainly not to anyone else. On the surface, she might still act like everything's fine, posting pictures, spending time with friends, and distracting herself with activities. But behind the smiles and carefully curated social media posts, there's a growing sense of discomfort. She doesn't fully understand it yet, but she feels it. A quiet emptiness that lingers no matter what she does. For you, this stage is a test of patience. It's tempting to break the silence, especially when you sense she's beginning to feel your absence. But remember, the impact of your silence lies in its consistency. If you reach out now, you risk undoing all the progress you've made. This is the moment to stay strong and trust the process. Stoicism teaches us to embrace discomfort as a necessary part of growth. Right now, both you and she are feeling the strain of this silence in different ways. For her, it's the discomfort of realizing that life without you isn't as fulfilling as she thought. For you, it's the challenge of resisting the urge to seek validation. But this discomfort is where transformation happens, for both of you. As the days turn into weeks, the signs of emptiness become harder for her to ignore. She might try to fill the void with distractions, nights out, shallow conversations, or even other people, but none of it works. The absence of your presence isn't something she can replace with surface-level interactions. It's deeper than that. For you, this is where discipline becomes crucial. Use this time to focus on yourself, your goals, your passions, and your personal growth. This isn't about waiting for her to notice your absence. It's about proving to yourself that you're strong enough to thrive without her recognition. Every day you stay silent is a day you invest in your own future. The first signs of emptiness might seem small, but they're powerful. They're the beginning of a realization that what she lost wasn't just someone who cared. It was someone irreplaceable. The void widens. Discomfort turns to unease. As more time passes, the silence you've created starts to evolve into something she can't ignore. What once felt like freedom, a break from your presence, now begins to feel unsettling. The small signs of emptiness have grown into a persistent discomfort, nagging at her in quiet moments. And the more she tries to brush it off, the more it creeps into her thoughts. At first, it's subtle. She catches herself wondering why you haven't reached out, telling herself it's no big deal, that you're probably busy, or that you'll eventually come back like always. But deep down, that confidence she had in your return starts to waver. The silence is no longer just a gap in her routine. It's a mirror, reflecting the choices she made, and it's starting to make her question herself. This discomfort is most noticeable in the quiet moments, when she's scrolling through her phone and notices your absence, or when she's out with friends and realizes something's missing. These moments of realization don't hit all at once. They build over time, like drops of water slowly filling a glass, and with each passing day, that glass gets closer to overflowing. She might try to distract herself further, throwing herself into social events, work, or even other connections. But no matter how busy she keeps herself, the void remains. The distractions only serve as temporary band-aids, unable to cover the deeper wound your silence has left behind. The stability, care, and attention you once provided are gone, and nothing she does seems to fill that gap. For someone who is new in your life, this stage is especially impactful. She might have thought she could move on without a second thought, that her decision to distance herself from you was the right one. But now she's starting to feel the weight of that choice. Each interaction with someone else, each fleeting connection, only highlights what she's missing. She begins to compare others to you, not just consciously, but on a deeper emotional level. And those comparisons rarely end in their favor. For someone who had been in your life longer, the discomfort runs even deeper. She thought she could take your presence for granted, that no matter how distant she became, you would always be there. Now, as the silence stretches on, she starts to realize she was wrong. The life she thought would feel liberating without you now feels heavier, colder, and more isolated. The absence she once dismissed as insignificant has become a weight she can't ignore. On your side, this stage is both a test and an opportunity. The discomfort she's feeling is a natural consequence of the boundaries you've set. It's not about punishing her. It's about reclaiming your time, energy, and self-worth. And while she's grappling with her unease, you have the chance to focus on what truly matters: your growth. Stoicism reminds us that discomfort is an essential part of transformation. It forces us to confront our vulnerabilities and challenges us to rise above them. Right now, her discomfort is teaching her the value of what she lost, while your discipline is shaping you into a stronger, more confident man. During this stage, it's crucial to resist the urge to break the silence. You might feel tempted to check in, to see how she's doing, or to remind her of your presence. But doing so would undermine the progress you've made. Your silence is working, not just on her, but on you. It's teaching you patience, self-control, and the power of letting go. As the days turn into weeks, her discomfort will grow into something she can't escape. She'll find herself thinking about you more often, wondering what you're doing and whether you've moved on. And with each passing day, the realization that she may have lost you for good becomes harder to ignore. For you, this stage is a reminder of how far you've come. The man you were at the beginning of this journey, the one who might have chased, begged, or pleaded, is no longer here. You've transformed into someone who values himself enough to walk away from situations where he isn't respected or appreciated. And that transformation is what makes your silence so powerful. The search for a fix, distractions, and failed replacements. As the silence stretches on, the void you left behind becomes increasingly difficult for her to ignore. What started as subtle discomfort has grown into a persistent ache, and she realizes she needs to do something about it. Her first instinct? Fill the emptiness. But here's where the struggle begins, because what she's searching for isn't something she can easily replace. She starts with distractions, nights out with friends, new hobbies, or scrolling endlessly on her phone. Anything to keep her mind occupied. For a brief moment, these activities might seem to work. They provide a temporary escape from the silence, a way to avoid thinking about what's missing. But distractions only go so far. The void is still there, waiting in the quiet moments when she's alone with her thoughts. Eventually, she tries to fill the gap with new connections. Maybe she starts dating again, talking to someone new, or reconnecting with an old flame. On the surface, it might seem like she's moving on, but underneath, these efforts often fall short. Why? Because what she's looking for isn't just another relationship. It's the depth, stability, and authenticity you brought to her life. And no matter how hard she tries, those qualities aren't easily found. The people she meets might seem exciting or interesting at first, but as time goes on, the comparisons begin. She notices the subtle differences, the way they don't understand her like you did, the way they miss the small details you always remembered, or the way the conversations lack the depth she once took for granted. These realizations build slowly, creating a growing sense of frustration. For someone who is new in your life, this stage can be particularly eye-opening. She might have thought you were replaceable, that another man could step into your role without a second thought. But now she's starting to see that what you offered wasn't ordinary. It was rare. And every failed attempt to replicate it only reinforces the value of what she lost. For someone who had been in your life longer, this frustration cuts even deeper. She believed she could explore other options while keeping you as a fallback, someone she could return to when things didn't work out. But now, as the silence persists, she's confronted with the reality that you're no longer waiting. Those shallow connections she thought could replace. You don't offer the loyalty, understanding, or emotional depth you provided. This stage is often marked by internal conflict. She might question whether she made the right choice in letting you go. Was I too quick to move on? Did I underestimate him? These questions linger, growing louder with each failed attempt to fill the void. And while she wrestles with her doubts, you're continuing to grow stronger, more confident, and more self-assured. For you, this stage is a crucial turning point. It's easy to fall into the trap of wondering if someone else is doing what you used to do for her, if they're the one she's choosing now. But remember, the value you brought to her life can't be duplicated. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, and what you can control is your own growth and mindset. Let go of the need to compare yourself to others. Instead, focus on becoming the man you've always wanted to be. As her frustration grows, so does her awareness of what she let slip away. She begins to realize that the people she's meeting don't measure up to the standard you set. They don't provide the same sense of security, understanding, or connection. And with each failed attempt, the void you left behind feels larger, more significant, and more permanent. For her, this stage is a humbling experience. It forces her to confront the reality that not all connections are created equal, and that what she had with you wasn't as easily replaceable as she thought. For you, it's an empowering reminder of your worth. By maintaining your silence and focusing on your growth, you've shown her, and yourself, that you're not just another option. You're someone who commands respect and leaves a lasting impact. Regret sets in, the inevitable aftermath. As this phase comes to an end, her frustration shifts into something deeper, regret. But for you, it's a victory. You've stayed true to yourself, resisted the urge to chase, and proven that your worth isn't defined by someone else's recognition. Regret is a slow creeping force. It doesn't strike all at once. It builds over time, fueled by the growing realization of what she let go. By now, she's faced the discomfort of your absence and the frustration of failed attempts to replace you, and now she's standing face to face with an undeniable truth. She made a mistake. At first, the regret shows up in quiet moments. She remembers how you always made her feel seen, valued, and supported. She replays those memories, the small acts of kindness, the inside jokes, the way you seem to understand her in ways others never could. Each memory is like a thread weaving together a picture of what she had and what she lost. And the weight of that picture grows heavier with each passing day. She might not admit it, not to herself, and certainly not to anyone else. But the regret is there. It's in the way she hesitates before sending a text, wondering if you'd even respond. It's in the way she looks through old photos or scrolls back through messages, searching for traces of the connection she once took for granted. These actions might seem small, but they're driven by a much deeper realization. She let go of something rare, something valuable, and she might never find it again. For someone who was new in your life, this stage can be particularly humbling. She might have thought she could move on without a second thought, that letting you go was just another decision in a long list of choices. But now she's starting to see that what she lost wasn't ordinary. It wasn't just another fleeting connection. It was something that brought meaning and stability to her life, and that's not something she can easily replace. For someone who had been in your life longer, the regret cuts even deeper. She thought she knew you, thought she understood your value. But now, as the silence stretches on, she realizes she underestimated you. The life she thought would feel complete without you now feels empty, and that emptiness is a constant reminder of the mistake she made. On your side, this stage is a testament to your growth. The regret she's feeling isn't something you caused. It's the natural consequence of her own choices. Stoicism teaches us to let go of what we can't control. And her regret is one of those things. It's not your responsibility to fix it or ease her discomfort. That's her burden to carry, not yours. As the regret deepens, she might feel compelled to reach out. It could start with a casual message, testing the waters, or a more vulnerable apology. Regardless of how she chooses to express it, the underlying message is the same. She knows what she lost. But here's the key. Her regret isn't the end goal of your silence. It's simply a byproduct. The real goal was always about reclaiming your power, your confidence, and your sense of self-worth. This is where many men struggle. When she expresses regret, the temptation to rush back is strong. After all, hearing someone acknowledge your value feels validating. But remember, this isn't about her recognition. It's about maintaining the boundaries and strength you've built during this process. If you choose to engage, do so on your terms, not hers. For her, regret is a powerful teacher. It forces her to confront the consequences of her actions and the reality of what she lost. For you, it's a reminder of your growth. The final takeaway, it's about you, not her. As this stage comes to a close, her regret reaches its peak. She's left wondering if she'll ever find someone like you again, if she's permanently lost the connection she once dismissed. And for you, it's a moment of clarity, a chance to see how far you've come and to recognize the strength you've gained through this journey. Regret may be unavoidable for her, but for you it's a stepping stone, It's proof that your silence wasn't just powerful, it was transformative. So stand tall, hold firm, and remember, you've already won. This journey wasn't just about her, it was about you. It was about rediscovering your strength, reclaiming your self-worth, and proving to yourself that you don't need anyone's validation to feel whole. The bottom line, your worth is non-negotiable. Your silence wasn't a punishment or a tactic. It was a declaration of self-respect. It was your way of saying, I know my value, and I won't settle for less. Through this process, you've shown her, and most importantly yourself, that you're not just an option, you're the standard. The absence you created wasn't empty. It was filled with power, growth, and transformation. While she spent this time grappling with discomfort, frustration, and regret, you've been building a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. Stoicism teaches us to focus only on what we can control, our thoughts, actions, and growth. Everything else, her feelings, her choices, and her regrets, is beyond your influence. And that's okay. By letting go of what you can't control, you freed yourself from the weight of her approval and discovered the strength within. Moving forward, your journey continues. So, where do you go from here? You move forward. Whether she reaches out or remains silent, whether she regrets her choices or not, none of it defines your worth. The man you've become during this process is proof that you're capable of thriving, regardless of her actions. You've reclaimed your power, and that's a victory no one can take away. This is your story now. It's not about chasing someone who didn't see your value. It's about becoming someone who doesn't need to chase. You've grown, you've endured, and you've emerged stronger. And as you continue on this path, remember, your silence was never just an absence. It was the loudest statement you could make. Before we wrap up, I want to send a heartfelt thank you to all of you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope the insights we've shared today give you a fresh perspective, a little push to move forward, and the power to take control of your own life. This isn't just a journey about silence or rejection. It's about discovering the strength within you. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the Stoic Horizon, and share it with your friends. Your support means the world and keeps me motivated to bring you more meaningful content. See you in the next video. Stay strong, live true to your values, and thanks so much, so much, so much.